streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, the search will resume today for a missing paddleboarder on Graham Lake in Ellsworth. Also, we'll hear about the decision to fire Lincoln's new town manager, and we'll also celebrate the backbone of our healthcare system during National Nurses Week. Good morning, everyone. I'm Craig Colson. Janessa Bishop has the day off. We thank you for watching today. We'll have all the day's news coming up, but first to check with that forecast, and it's looking like a cloudy day ahead, although we might see some breaks of sunshine too, with temperatures up around 60 degrees. Overall, kind of a quiet, not bad day ahead. Let's check in with Devin Biggs for a first look at that forecast.
All righty, Craig, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. We have an advisory posted. This small craft advisory will remain up until about 2 p.m. as we head towards the afternoon period for some active surf that will remain an issue until about that time frame. In the meantime, on land, we've had some rain overnight, and this will mainly last through the morning period, but some more scattered rain showers will be possible this afternoon. Otherwise, we will remain under a partly cloudy sky. Let's zoom things out right now, and we are still seeing some rain showers across parts of the northeast with this cold front. Some scattered rain showers again possible this afternoon under that partly cloudy sky. So here we are. The clouds break up for a bit. Some more this afternoon with some scattered rain showers. We clear out tonight under that mostly clear sky. Tomorrow, just some clouds to start things off, but nothing too widespread. But otherwise, as we do move forward for today, again, some clouds, scattered rain showers for the afternoon period with temperatures rising into the low 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig?
Overall, not bad at all. Thank you very much, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, a search continues for a missing paddleboarder in Ellsworth. The Maine Warden Service has been searching for a missing 20-year-old man on Graham Lake since Tuesday afternoon. Officials say the man was suspected to have left his family camp near Jesse's Beach on a paddleboard sometime between 10 and 11:30 on Tuesday morning and is not believed to have been wearing a life jacket. Ellsworth Police, Fire and Rescue initially responded to the area, searching the lake by watercraft and a drone. Game wardens joined the search using boats, a Warden Service plane, and a Maine Forest Service helicopter. We've been told by wardens at the scene that the man has not been found, but his paddleboard and paddle have been located. Sergeant Mark Delia of the Maine Warden Service says it's been challenging due to the weather and lake conditions.
There's a lot of strainers, which are, trees that blow down over the water that can obstruct our visibility of things on the shoreline. But we have enough hands that can help. We have both dive teams, so the Maine Warden Service dive team and the State Police and Marine Patrol have a joint dive team. So both those boats are out here, and that's very helpful for a search like this.
The dive teams have been utilizing side-scan sonar and submersible ROVs, which Sergeant Delia says is a critical asset in the search. Some civilians also took to the lake with their own boats to provide assistance. The search is expected to resume this morning. Meanwhile, a Knox woman is facing arson and attempted murder charges after allegedly setting a house on fire where she had been temporarily staying. 41-year-old Jessica Alsop is being charged with 2 counts of criminal attempt to commit murder, arson, and violation of conditions of release. According to the Department of Public Safety, dispatchers received a 911 call on Monday night from a person at a residence on Bailey Road in Knox reporting a fire at the home. Officials say occupants of the home were able to suppress the fire using an extinguisher and water prior to the arrival of emergency crews. It was contained to a single bedroom, and the occupants and several dogs were able to escape without injury. The fire marshal's office was notified due to the suspicious circumstances, and following an investigation, it was determined that the fire had been intentionally set. Alsop was taken into custody and transported to the Waldo County Jail, where she's now being held without bail. A St. Albans woman has been arrested for allegedly assaulting her husband and setting their home on fire. 61-year-old Lisa Hall of St. Albans has been charged with arson and domestic violence assault stemming from a fire that happened last month. According to the Department of Public Safety, on the morning of April 17th, fire marshal investigators were called to a home on Grant Road due to the suspicious nature of that incident. Investigators determined the fire had been intentionally set and an arrest warrant was issued for Hall. That same morning, prior to the fire, it is alleged that Hall also assaulted her husband. Hall was arrested on Tuesday after being located in Bangor. She was taken to the Penobscot County Jail, where she's being held on $10,000 bail. A Clifton man is facing drug charges following a bail check that led to a significant drug seizure. According to the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office, earlier yesterday, deputies conducted a bail compliance check on 30-year-old Brandon McCann of Clifton. And during that check, deputies discovered approximately 16 grams of crack cocaine, 17 grams of methamphetamine, and 26 pressed methamphetamine pills in McCann's possession. He was taken into custody without incident and has been charged with 2 counts of unlawful trafficking of scheduled drugs, as well as violation of conditional release. McCann is currently being held pending further court proceedings, and the case remains under investigation. A former employee at the Jackson Lab in Bar Harbor is suing the lab for what she says was a failure to properly address sexual harassment. That lawsuit was filed in U.S. District Court in Portland this week. According to the lawsuit, a former female employee worked at the lab from May 2023 until her separation on July 9, 2025. The suit claims a male coworker identified as Brandon Lyons allegedly began sexually harassing her rather, in the summer of 2024, making lewd comments about her body and physical appearance, as well as other inappropriate comments and behavior. The suit says she reported the behavior to multiple supervisors nearly a dozen times, including written complaints, but it was never addressed, despite the suit alleging one of the supervisors observed the behavior themselves. The suit says the lab never investigated the comments or took any meaningful action to stop or prevent the behavior. Then in May of last year, the suit says that Lyons placed a camera in a single-stall bathroom the female coworker frequently used, and another female employee discovered the camera and alerted Bar Harbor police. It was discovered the plaintiff had been recorded. She later resigned from her position, citing anxiety and a lack of safety. She is now seeking multiple levels of damages and relief, and Brandon Lyons is currently facing criminal charges in Hancock County. He is not named as a defendant in that lawsuit. For the second time in 6 months, the Penobscot County community is once again without a town manager. After less than 2 months on the job, Lincoln's Town Council voted this week to fire the town manager. Alex Schley spoke with both sides and has more on what they said led to that decision.
In a 4-3 vote Monday, Lincoln Town Council fired town manager Dennis Bolin.
Personally, I don't think he was given enough time to prove himself.
Bolin was appointed to the position on March 10th. Prior to that, he worked for the town of Lincoln for more than a decade.
I started out on the rec crew, the cemeteries and parks, landscaping crew. I left there, went to the transfer station. Left the transfer station, went to Public Works, and then was the town manager.
Monday's decision came just 6 days before the end of Bolin's probationary period. Bolin says he believes that the council's decision was a direct response to choices he made that he felt were in the best interest of residents.
There was a request to take on a private road as a town way. We're trying to trim the budget, and taking on more roads is going in the opposite direction. It was a friend of one of the town councilors who was making this request. It didn't go over well.
Bolin also says he did not want to, quote, clean house and fire people.
And I was told by the council that I shouldn't advocate for employees, which I strongly disagree with. Who's going to advocate for them other than me? I'm the top supervisor as town manager, and I certainly want to advocate for employees or the betterment of employees.
Council Chair Stephen Clay says the budget concerns were a key factor in the decision.
He was looking at it, and this is from our conversations only, he didn't feel like many personnel could be cut. He didn't ever say that he wasn't going to try to cut the budget. He just said he didn't think it could be in personnel.
Clay says the council now hopes to have an interim town manager in place by next Monday's council meeting. In Lincoln, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news, the city of Bangor is exploring a proposed syringe delivery service pilot program. On Monday, the city council voted 4-1 in favor of submitting an application to the Maine CDC to make Bangor Public Health a certified syringe service provider, or an SSP. This discussion comes as the city continues to grapple with a growing HIV outbreak. Public Health and Community Services Director Jennifer Gunderman told councilors the delivery service would support individuals working with Bangor case managers who are unable to get to a local SSP. She emphasized it would not be a primary mobile or brick and mortar service, but rather a supportive service.
We're not going to be seen as the place where people should count on to get their syringes. We have 2 brick and mortar SSPs to do that. This is just an option for our clients who may be stuck in a bind at the moment.
Gunderman noted that this pilot program would not require any additional staff. She also added that becoming certified could open the door for new grant opportunities and would serve as a backup support system in case one of the area's syringe providers suddenly stopped providing that important service. Governor Janet Mills announced the suspension of her U.S. Senate campaign last Thursday, but as our Doug Banks reports, her campaign has yet to file the paperwork to formally drop out of the race.
On Thursday, Governor Janet Mills publicly announced the suspension of her U.S. Senate campaign, citing a lack of financial resources. On Wednesday, the Secretary of State's office confirmed with us that her campaign has yet to file the proper paperwork to officially withdraw.
Usually, one does go with the other, right? You suspend the campaign, then you submit any required paperwork.
Governor Mills will still be on the ballot for the ranked choice Democratic primary election on June 9th, whether or not the paperwork is filed. Because according to state statute, the announcement of her campaign suspension came less than 70 days before the primary election, too late to take her name off the ballot. If the paperwork is filed before June 9th, the Secretary of State's office will issue notices to local election officials informing voters and absentee voters of her withdrawal, and votes casted for Governor Mills will not be counted. If it isn't filed, the votes count.
Most people will know that Mills has suspended her campaign. Plattner probably still wins on the first ballot, and nothing really comes of this. If Mills gets enough votes, and I've seen some reporting out there that some Mills supporters are saying, I can't support Plattner, I'm still going to vote for the governor on primary day. If enough people do that and those votes are counted, then it could force a first round of ranked choice, right? So we could go to second choices on people's ballots, and you would presume at that point that would be enough to push Plattner over the edge. As long as the race stays kind of where it is, I don't see any big implications of this.
Governor Mills did not publicly endorse a specific candidate following the suspension of her campaign, but rather all Democrats on the ballot. We reached out to a Mills campaign spokesperson on Wednesday, but did not receive a response. Doug Banks reporting for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And the time now is 6:13. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, we'll celebrate National Nurses Week. And we'll also visit Bar Harbor, where business owners are hoping for a good tourist season despite rising costs all around the nation. But first, another check of that forecast. Today will be a partly cloudy day. Might see a few rain showers. Highs around 61 degrees. Mostly clear tonight, with lows dropping down to the mid-30s. Tomorrow, some scattered showers can be expected. Highs around 58. We'll be right back.
When it comes to your home, go to the source. Go to R&B's Home Source in Madison. R&B's Home Source has home comfort, convenience, and savings all wrapped up in one location. From the living room to the dining room to the bedroom, we have some of the best values in furniture and bedding. For the kitchen, R&B's Home Source has top-notch appliances from fridges to ranges, even washers and dryers. And sit back and relax with quality electronics. We service everything we sell too. For your home, go to the source. R&B's Home Source, Lakewood Road, Madison.
It takes a special person to be a nurse. Thank you. Miller's Workshop in Brewer honors all nurses with 20% off scrubs and Dansko footwear through May 12th.
Mainly Tacos Dos is located on Main Street in Bangor, several doors down from the main Discovery Museum. It's a place for great food, drinks, and atmosphere. Check out our menu online. Mainly Tacos Dos, 64 Main Street, Bangor.
Did you start a relationship with Miss Williams?
No. This co-worker wouldn't kiss and tell.
Did you ever have an intimate relationship with him?
In the beginning, yes.
And he has thousands of reasons.
How much money did you take from her?
I don't believe I took any money from her. For keeping secrets.
At what point did you find out that your money was down the drain and he was living with his wife?
Wow.
Wow, huh?
Next Judge Judy.
Thursday at 5 on ABC 7.
According to the American Nurses Association, there are over 5 million nurses all around the country, and this week is about celebrating them. Our Callie Warren has more on the importance of National Nurses Week.
I think this is important to improve, staff morale.
The over 500 nurses and CNAs at St. Joseph's Healthcare spend their workdays caring for their patients. This week, that care and compassion is returned to them.
We celebrate nurses every day at St. Joe's, but this is a special week where we can pause and recognize all of the hard work that they do every day. I'm so proud of this team, and I'm so glad to be in the position to be able to do this for them.
For nurses, the week means food trucks, sweet treats, speaker events, and more. But it also goes a little deeper to celebrate their hard work.
You come in and you really never know what's going to happen. All you know is you're going to try to get the best care that you can.
And help support mental health among nurses.
The mental health of nurses during these unprecedented times is incredibly important. So I'm glad that we're making this a whole week here at the hospital. And I know the leadership here at St. Joe's has worked hard to do a lot of good things for us.
According to the American Nurses Association, almost 2/3 of nurses report work-related burnout.
Nursing is one of the most rewarding and challenging professions.
Nurses can also struggle with stress, mental health conditions, and other well-being issues. So the folks at St. Joe's are stepping in to provide support and encourage nurses to take care of themselves as well, not just this week, but all the time.
I think historically we've believed that our job is to take care of patients, which it is, but to do that to the best of our ability, we need to prioritize care for ourselves because nurses can't care from an empty cup.
In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Bangor International Airport officials have confirmed Breeze Airways is launching a new seasonal nonstop service to Raleigh-Durham International Airport down in North Carolina. Beginning this month, the new route will operate on Wednesdays and Saturdays. The airline will also resume nonstop service to Orlando starting this September. In the meantime, Breeze will still offer service to Orlando with one stopover in Raleigh-Durham. Airport officials say they are excited to add Raleigh-Durham to their growing list of nonstop destinations. Businesses are gearing up for the busy summer ahead in vacation land, and despite high gas prices, Bar Harbor businesses say they are still staying positive and moving forward with preparations. Our Alexa Kennedy has more.
As Maine's tourist season approaches, businesses in Bar Harbor are preparing for another busy summer while keeping a close eye on rising gas prices and travel trends. Despite the unpredictable summer ahead, business owners remain optimistic that visitors will continue flocking to the popular coastal destination. Director of Operations for Side Street Cafe, Bo Jennings, says staff preparations are already underway.
We get so many questions here in restaurants beyond just what's on the menu. You get where's the best place to hike? Where's the best place to do this or that? And so our staff really do have to become an expert of everything.
Jennings and the owner of the Acadia shop, Bob Pushard, say the activity in the beginning of the season has been heavily weather dependent.
So far this season, April was very soft because the weather was cold and wet.
When the weather is nice, people come out to play. When it's not, sometimes they decide to stay home.
Both Jennings and Pushard shared concerns about how the high gas prices will influence activity in Bar Harbor.
I think what you're going to see is folks that are going to be traveling a little closer to home. So perhaps we get more people from Boston and New York than we would get from the Midwest this year.
Jennings says the high gas prices are an opportunity for locals to take advantage of what Bar Harbor has to offer.
There are things for folks in the region, for our locals and our tourists alike.
Despite concerns over fuel costs and a slow start to spring weather, both business owners look forward to the season ahead.
We're in hopes that the gas prices will not keep people away and folks will get out to enjoy the short summer we have in Maine.
In Bar Harbor, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
You'll be hopping with people before you know it. All right, the time now is 6:20. Coming up after the break, the states are taking action to combat rising gasoline prices as the Trump administration seeks a way to end the hostilities with Iran. Plus, health officials are racing to contain a deadly virus after an outbreak was reported on a cruise ship. We'll have the latest on that as Good Morning Maine rolls along.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
We still can't agree on how to pronounce Costas.
It's Costas.
One thing we can agree on is the delicious American, Italian, and Greek food made from scratch. And that cozy fireplace room is perfect for a night out.
Yeah, but the back bar is so much fun. Trivia, name that tune, big screen TVs, and of course the same great food.
Welcome to Costas! Welcome to Costas!
However you say it, head to KOSTA' Restaurant and Bar today.
Nothing is more comforting than a mother's love, and ABC 7 and Fox 22 want you to share the love of mothers with a special promotion. Register to win prizes from some great local businesses. Our special Mother's Day promotion is brought to you by Joe's Furniture in Newport, Luigi and Fredericks in Bangor, and Color Concepts in Bangor. All you have to do is go to our contest page, foxbangor.com, and register to win.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Welcome back, everyone. Turning to the war with Iran now, President Trump is claiming new progress in negotiations while gasoline prices keep rising here at home. ABC's Sophie Flay has more.
This morning, more states taking action to address high gas prices. Indiana's governor suspending 2 gas-related taxes to save drivers nearly 60 cents per gallon. Kentucky's governor pushing a similar move and calling on Congress to suspend the federal gas tax.
They thought the war would be short, that the Iranian people would rise up. They were wrong, and now the American people are paying for it.
Prices, which now average $4.56 a gallon nationwide, are exposing the gap between the rich and the working class. A new report finds lower-income Americans have already cut back on their gas consumption, while wealthier households have simply increased their spending to keep their consumption levels steady.
They want to make a deal. We've had very good talks.
President Trump reporting progress in negotiations with Iran. Sources say the administration has sent Iran a one-page memo of understanding, laying the groundwork for 30 days of talks on issues like the future of Iran's nuclear program. The proposal calls for Iran to lift restrictions on ships in the Strait of Hormuz. In return, the U.S. would ease its blockade of Iran's ports. Iran remains publicly defiant, mocking Trump last night. One negotiator claiming Operation Trust Me Bro failed in reference to Trump suspending his plan to protect ships in the Strait. Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
And despite concerns about gas prices and supply levels impacting consumers for months, President Trump says he is not imposing a deadline for Iran to make a deal. All right, the time now is 6:23. Let's turn things back over to Devin Biggs for a full look at our forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. There's that small craft advisory right there, and that will last until about 2 o'clock this afternoon for some active surf along the coast. And with that in mind, let's check out the wave heights heights, which are at around 3 to 4 feet according to the buoys, while further off towards the north and east, you can see that we are still dealing with some active contours at this moment in time, so still a little bit active, while farther out towards sea at around 4 to even 6 feet. So again, hit and miss with regards to the ocean. But meanwhile, on land, we've had some precipitation passing through from the southwest and going toward the north and east. The rain will back off for a while, but some more clouds and even some scattered rain showers will be possible as we head towards the afternoon period today. Let's zoom things out. This is all courtesy of that slow moving cold front. It has not been moving very quickly, but as we head towards the afternoon period today, it will start to move away, but scattered rain showers for us with a little surface boundary will begin to develop. So here we go. This main cold front moving away, some scattered rain showers possible behind it. Then we clear things out of here overnight with a mostly clear sky. Some clouds trying to get in here as we head towards your Friday, and notice some scattered showers and even some thunderstorms possible through parts of Friday before we clear things out of here as we head towards Friday night. So with regards to the precipitation accumulations, I'm going to run this through at least parts of Saturday evening. Not a whole lot by that point. Then I'll run it just a little bit farther. So really between now and as we head towards your Tuesday, not a whole lot, maybe a quarter of an inch of rainfall. The highest will be along parts of Washington County, and really that's about all. So for today, here we go. Low 60s, partly cloudy, some additional rain showers. Northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. By tonight, mostly clear, lows in the mid 30s. Northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, scattered showers and yes, even some thunderstorms possible with highs in the upper 50s. West wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast. Some afternoon rain showers possible Saturday. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with highs in the low 60s. Some more low 60s for Mother's Day with some rain showers. And then rain showers continue Monday with highs in the upper 50s.
With over 30 years of experience, Patriot General Contractors knows how to get your home renovation project done right. Our certified contractors can help you build, redesign, or finish the project of your dreams. Check out Facebook page for reviews and visit patriotgeneralcontractors.com to schedule your quote today. Patriot General Contractors, redesigning your properties for the future.
If you've been injured in a motorcycle wreck, call 855 Iron Law today. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. We protect our own.
Scudic & Bloom, a full-service, custom-designed florist, Main Street in Winter Harbor.
We can deliver one-of-a-kind, full-color flower arrangements
by custom floral designer me, Pam.
Delivering to Ellsworth and surrounding areas for any occasion.
Please visit scudicandbloom.com or call 844-SCUDIC.
I got to admit, I'm pretty comfortable here. But this spot is actually reserved for a special mom. We're at it again, about to surprise one incredible mom with breakfast in bed. And this year is going to be the most incredible surprise ever.
Tomorrow, you're invited to GMA's epic Breakfast in Bed live celebration.
Are you in need of remodeling your bathroom? Want to convert your tub into a safe walk-in shower? Call the experts at Bangor Bathrooms by Design now. They offer complete bathroom remodels, and from start to finish, your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call them now and save thousands. 659-6457. Enjoy that brand new bathroom you've always wanted from Bangor Bathrooms by Design. Transforming bathrooms, elevating lives.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
The cruise ship involved in that deadly virus outbreak is sailing towards Spain's Canary Islands, while efforts to contain any spread go global. 3 passengers died and 5 others became sick with symptoms of the hantavirus, and officials are monitoring people here in the U.S. ABC's Lionel Moyes has the latest.
Health officials are racing to contain a deadly hantavirus outbreak as new cases emerge linked to that cruise ship in the Atlantic. KLM Airlines now saying one of the ship's passengers, who later died from the virus, boarded a flight in Johannesburg before crew members decided she was too sick to travel. Dutch health officials are now contacting the passengers who were on that plane. Switzerland has confirmed a new case of the virus in a man who'd previously been on the ship, the first confirmed case in Europe. Here in the U.S., we learned overnight that people in at least 2 states, Arizona and Georgia, are being monitored. So far, no symptoms have been reported. The ship was initially carrying nearly 150 passengers and crew, including 17 Americans, but some were allowed to leave the ship before the full extent of the outbreak was known. One passenger still on board was quoted by a Spanish newspaper saying 23 people disembarked at an earlier stop, adding, "Until 3 days ago, no one had contacted them." The World Health Organization says contact tracing is now underway.
It's an incubation time of about 1 to 8 weeks where the symptoms are developing. It's like flu-like symptoms. You have pain, muscle pain, fever, feeling weak, etc.
The CDC says it will be monitoring the health status and preparing medical support for all of the American passengers on the cruise, adding the risk to the American public is very low. The rare virus is typically spread through exposure to rodents, but this particular strain can spread between humans through close, prolonged contact. The ship is expected to dock in Spain's Canary Islands this weekend, where passengers will undergo health assessments before being sent home. That is, unless their conditions prevent travel. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
In other news, a judge has now unsealed an alleged suicide note from Jeffrey Epstein after questions were raised about his suicide in jail. Meanwhile, a Trump cabinet official has now been questioned about the Epstein files. Here's Andrea Fugii with that story.
We are now getting our first look at the cryptic one-page note purportedly written by late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein before his first suicide attempt in jail. The note, reading in part, "They investigated me for a month, found nothing. It is a treat to be able to choose one's time to say goodbye. What you want me to do? Burst out crying? No fun, not worth it." Epstein's former cellmate said he found the note in a book days after Epstein's suicide attempt in 2019. There's no confirmation Epstein wrote it. At the time, he told a psychologist, "I have no interest in killing myself." But less than a month later, he hanged himself in his cell before he could go on trial for sex trafficking.
Please step to the side.
On Capitol Hill yesterday, U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick testified before a House committee about his ties to Epstein.
Why did you keep in contact with Jeffrey Epstein after he pleaded guilty?
During closed-door testimony, Lutnick acknowledged interacting with Epstein 3 times, including a 2012 visit with his family to Epstein's Island, years after Epstein pleaded guilty to sex crimes. But several Democrats claimed Lutnick dodged their questions and demanded he resign.
Howard Lutnick is a pathological liar who is enabling the most egregious cover-up in American history.
He was evasive, nervous, he was dishonest.
But committee chair James Comer insists Lutnick was transparent.
This is a habit of the Democrats on this committee coming out telling you all stuff that was said that was not said.
Republicans say they'll release a transcript of Lutnick's interview at some point. Former Attorney General Pam Bondi is expected to testify about the Epstein files later this month. Andrea Fugii, ABC News, New York.
Mother's Day is right around the corner, and some analysts say this year may see record high spending, even with ongoing economic uncertainty. According to the National Retail Federation, Mother's Day spending is expected to hit $38 billion in 2026. Surpassing the previous record of $35.7 billion in 2023. The Federation's annual survey found 84% of adults plan on celebrating Mother's Day this weekend and anticipate spending an average of nearly $285 on gifts, up from nearly $260 last year. While flowers remain the most popular gift, with 75% of shoppers planning to purchase flowers. Other favorites include greeting and gift cards, special outings, and clothing and accessories. Some financial experts say consumers are budgeting more and planning to spend more this Mother's Day, adding that gifting electronics is seeing a growth in popularity and is expected to account for $4 billion in spending this year. Bottom line, Don't forget Mom coming up this weekend for her special day. I'm pretty easy when it comes to shopping for my mom. She just likes fiddleheads, so I get her a bunch of fiddleheads. All right, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll meet a man who has been traveling around the world with his cats, and he encourages other cat lovers to do the same. We'll have that story coming up on Good Morning Maine.
What does Graham Plattner think of rural Mainers? He calls them stupid and racist. And Plattner called some Maine lobstermen drug-addicted pieces of shit. That's the real Graham Plattner. Pine Tree Results Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Huckleberry's Card and Gift has a wide selection of puzzles for the entire family. Local items, including raised mustard and scone mix from the Scone Goddess, jewelry, town signs, coffee mugs, and much more. Located in front of the Brewer City Hall. From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Pat's Pizza in Holden is not just a restaurant that serves delicious food and pizza. They also have an adjacent party and event room. Consider having your birthday or office party at Pat's Pizza. They have indoor golf, a pro shop, and a beautiful 9-hole golf course open for the season. Pat's Pizza, Holden.
Graham Plattner blames Maine's women for getting raped because he says they get up drunk. And Plattner bragged about having a Nazi tattoo on his chest. That's the real Graham Plattner. Pine Tree Results Pack is responsible for the content of this advertising.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back to Good Morning Maine. Today is Thursday, May 7th, 2026, and this is also National Password Day. Are you still using your cat's name for your bank's password? Well, sorry, but that's not enough to protect your life savings. This day aims to raise awareness about the need for strong passwords to prevent identity theft and other cyber crimes. The experts say we should be changing our passwords once every few weeks to help protect our personal information. Something to think about on this day. All right, time for some history. It was on this day back in 1789 the very first inaugural ball was held following the election of George Washington as the nation's first president. However, it didn't become a tradition until James Madison was elected the fourth president. Now we have inaugural balls every time we have a new president. 1915, a German U-boat sank the British cruise liner RMS Lusitania off the coast of Ireland. Close to 1,200 people were killed, including 128 Americans. The sinking helped turn American sentiment against Germany, and the U.S. would eventually join the fight during World War I. 1946, on this date, the Tokyo Telecommunications Engineering Company was founded with just 20 employees. It would later be renamed Sony, becoming one of the world's biggest producers of electronics. 1984, 7 chemical companies agreed to pay $180 million to Vietnam veterans who were exposed to the herbicide Agent Orange during the Vietnam War. And in 1994, Edvard Munch's painting, The Scream, was found at a hotel in Norway 3 months after it was stolen from a museum in Oslo. 2 thieves had broken into the National Gallery during the opening day of the Winter Olympics in Lillehammer. In 2004, another version of The Scream was stolen from the Munch Museum in Oslo, and it was also later recovered. And finally, in 1999, on this date, The Mummy, starring Brendan Fraser, premiered in the U.S. Today's birthdays include comedian Aidy Bryant, who is 39 today, actor James Leisure is 55, and drummer Bill Kreutzmann from the Grateful Dead He is 80 years old today. Happy birthday to them, and happy birthday to you also, if your birthday is today. We hope you have a great one. All right, before we move on, let's turn things back over to Devin. It looks like a pretty nice day today. We'll see some clouds, but some breaks of sun. And some folks maybe even see a stray rain shower or two, but overall, not a bad day ahead.
All righty, Craig, thank you very much. Happy Thursday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience a Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. We have an advisory posted. This small craft advisory will remain up until about 2 p.m. as we head towards the afternoon period for some active surf that will remain an issue until about that time frame. In the meantime, on land, we've had some rain overnight, and this will mainly last through the morning period, but some more scattered rain showers will be possible this afternoon. Otherwise, we will remain under a partly cloudy sky. Let's zoom things out right now, and we are still seeing some rain showers across parts of the Northeast with this cold front. Some scattered rain showers again possible this afternoon under that partly cloudy sky. So here we are. The clouds break up for a bit. Some more this afternoon with some scattered rain showers. We clear out tonight under that mostly clear sky. Tomorrow, just some clouds to start things off, but nothing too widespread. But otherwise, as we do move forward for today, again, some clouds, scattered rain showers for the afternoon period with temperatures rising into the low 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig?
All right, thank you, Devin. And still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports. We'll also meet that guy that travels with his cats. Don't go away.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
We need to stop the trafficking of fentanyl. We've had serious issues. Our death rate climbed tremendously.
Susan Collins successfully fought to give law enforcement the critical tools they need to combat fentanyl traffickers.
And I don't know anybody else as sincere as Susan Collins is about keeping our young people and our communities safe. Thank you, Senator Collins, for delivering when it matters most.
Nothing is more comforting than a mother's love, and ABC7 and Fox 22 want you to share the love of mothers with a special promotion. Register to win prizes from some great local businesses. Our special Mother's Day promotion is brought to you by Joe's Furniture in Newport, Luigi and Fredericks in Bangor, and Color Concepts in Bangor. All you have to do is go to our contest page, foxbangor.com, and register to win.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
ABC 7 and Fox 22's Jack Webb, named Maine's Sportscaster of the Year by the National Sports Media Association.
Welcome back in, folks. We've got some exciting local news in the hoops world. New Gloucester native and son of legendary Black Bear guard Andy Bedard has followed in his father's footsteps and committed to the University of Maine. Caden Bedard announced his commitment on Instagram Wednesday. The 6'1" guard played his high school ball at a state at Montverde Academy in the Newman School, but was a big part of Cooper and Ace Flag's Maine United team that made noise in the national AAU circuit in the summers of 2022 and 23. Bringing it back local for some high school baseball, the Eagles made the trip out to Bucksport to take on the Golden Bucks. Ellsworth, a perfect 4-0. Golden Bucks 4-1. This game starts on the first at-bat. Evan Haskell gets a base hit, but he is not done. He would steal second base and then third, and on a bad Bucksport pitch, he goes for it all. He steals home, making the game 1-0 Ellsworth early on. In the second inning, the Golden Bucks play great defense. A big hit is caught by Jace Jackson for the out, and then pitcher Trent Goss is going to close the top of the second with this strikeout. Offense gets going for Bucksport when Trent Giroux gets a base knock, but they're unable to even the score. Top of the third, Haskell's going to be back at bat, and he crushes this one. It goes all the way over the left field fence. A single-run homer puts the Eagles up 2-0 in the third. Bucksport makes a run in the bottom of the frame, but Haskell's going to end it with a strikeout, and the Eagles win 5-2 as he did everything for his team today. Staying on the Diamond, the Maine baseball regular season is winding down, and the Black Bears will celebrate their veteran players with Senior Day on Sunday.
The Maine baseball team continues to prosper as they approach the home stretch of the regular season. The Black Bears traveled to play the first-place Binghamton Bearcats and came back to Orono with 2 wins and a series victory.
We had grinded out some at-bats. We played pretty clean, and my biggest takeaway from this weekend was we saw a team on Friday and Sunday, specifically us, that did the little things really well.
With the end of the season closing in, Maine looks to their next weekend series versus UMass Lowell at home, where they will celebrate their Senior Day. The Black Bears will commemorate 10 seniors on Sunday, each of whom have played a pivotal leadership role for the team during their time in Orono.
Those guys have an experience of being at both the bottom and the top, and they know what it feels like to be at both, and that matters a lot. Right? That experience, even for me personally, it's important.
That leadership is something Maine seniors take much pride in.
I love being an upperclassman, having the younger guys look up to you. They just you show them how you do stuff, and they really listen.
It means a ton. I'm grateful for the guys that came before me. They kind of paved the way and showed us what it takes to be a leader here. This is some of the hardest baseball conditions in the country, and I think that it's not easy to always be a leader here.
Some seniors just only joined the team 2 years ago. Others have played a full 4 or 5 years, but they cherish being a Black Bear all the same.
I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to play Division I baseball, especially with this group of guys and the locker room we have in there. It's pretty special. It's something I'll remember for the rest of my life.
The chance to be a Black Bear is something that I relish in, and I love this school, love this community, love the guys. It's been the best 5 years of my life.
The remainder of the 2026 regular season for Maine will be played at home in Orono, a huge advantage that the Black Bears say they are very excited about.
Oh, we're fired up to be at home. It's tough being on the road. We're on the road for most of the season.
That's a big deal, and just we have some guys nicked up, and give them a chance to sleep in their own bed and eat some food and be able to just kind of get back to full strength, hopefully with a top 2 seed.
In Orono, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
Thanks for that, Max. 2-time NBA Executive of the Year and Celtics GM Brad Stevens took to the podium today for his end-of-season press conference. Stevens addressed a slew of questions regarding the Celtics' early exit, Jaylen Brown's recent rumors of unhappiness, Joe Mazzulla's future, and more. Stevens was extremely candid, giving an honest assessment of his team and even saying despite the team's great regular season, they still didn't stack up well against the league's best.
We came up short, and so now the job is to do an honest assessment, and there's no question what we want. There's no question when you look at what's true that though we did a lot of good things, we lost in the first round, and we were also 3-11 against the top 3 seeds in the West and the other top 2 in the East, and so we've got to get better.
For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
What's a manometer? Man-eater? Manometer? Let's do this. Help. Send someone. I can't do this anymore. Is it supposed to make that noise?
Definitely not, but we can fix it.
Okay.
Do you take propane tank?
Anything goes.
How about cardboard?
Anything goes.
How about old rug?
Yeah, anything goes.
So this too?
Furniture removal, basements, garages, attics, hoarder houses. It doesn't matter here at Anything Goes Junk Removal. Anything goes. Well, almost anything.
Well, today is National Tourism Day, and we're meeting a man showing us it's better to just travel with your cats, which most cat owners would not guess was possible. But this man in Chicago says it's all about training them first. Here's ABC's Danny New.
On this National Tourism Day, we are meeting a man who is proving that you can travel with your cats.
Which one are you holding now?
This is Todd.
And that's Louie.
In the past 2 years, Lazar here, along with his pals Todd and Prince Louie, have visited more than a dozen countries, national parks, and state parks. In fact, during our interview, they were chilling in a hotel in Tokyo, although Lazar was actually not allowed to relax.
I started showing our followers how they would, how I was training them to go to different environments, be comfortable with being in the swing, shopping.
He can't stop holding your hand.
All in all, Lazar says it took a few months to get them comfortable with traveling, first starting with quiet streets in a Chicago neighborhood before building up to noisier spots like shopping malls. In fact, using that same step-by-step principle, Lazar has now been able to take the kitties skiing in Austria, which apparently made Todd real cozy.
Within 10 minutes of putting him on the backpack, he just started snoozing. Like he hugged me and it was just like falling asleep while we were like going down, slaloming down the mountains.
Also, they've even gone kayaking together, and I think Todd's reaction there is going to really blow your mind.
He was curious for like 30 minutes and then he fell asleep.
It seems like they can nap through anything.
Especially Todd.
Perhaps not surprisingly, 2 years into traveling together, Prince Louie and Todd have amassed millions of followers on social media. But Lazar says that was never really his goal.
My goal was just to inspire other people to take their cats with them so that they don't have to leave their kitties behind.
Lazar did acknowledge that, of course, not all cats can travel. For example, my cat Pepper is not a big fan. Although I did manage to take her fishing at home. See, look at all the goldfish she caught. So proud of her. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
The guy has some very chill cats. I don't think mine would do the same. All right, let's turn things back over to Devin now for a final look at that forecast.
Alrighty, Craig, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Quality Automotive and Brewer. Experience the Quality Automotive difference. Reliable service and expert care that you can depend on. Call us to schedule your next appointment, 922-2043. Alrighty, here we go. There's that small craft advisory right there, and that will last until about 2 o'clock this afternoon for some active surf along the coast. And with that in mind, let's check out the wave heights, which are at around 3 to 4 feet according to the buoys, while further off towards the north and east you can see that we are still dealing with some active contours at this moment in time, so still a little bit active, while farther out towards sea at around 4 to even 6 feet. So again, hit and miss with regards to the ocean. But meanwhile on land we've had some precipitation passing through from the southwest and going toward the north and east. The rain will back off for a while, but some more clouds and even some scattered rain showers will be possible as we head towards the afternoon period today. Let's zoom things out. This is all courtesy of that slow moving cold front. It has not been moving very quickly, but as we head towards the afternoon period today, it will start to move away, but scattered rain showers for us with a little surface boundary will begin to develop. So here we go. This main cold front moving away, some scattered rain showers possible behind it. Then we clear things out of here overnight with a mostly clear sky. Some clouds trying to get in here as we head towards your Friday, and notice some scattered showers and even some thunderstorms possible through parts of Friday before we clear things out of here as we head towards Friday night. So with regards to the precipitation accumulations, I'm going to run this through at least parts of Saturday evening. Not a whole lot by that point. Then I'll run it just a little bit farther. So really between now and as we head towards your Tuesday, not a whole whole lot, maybe a 1/4 of an inch of rainfall. The highest will be along parts of Washington County, and really that's about all. So for today, here we go. Low 60s, partly cloudy, some additional rain showers. Northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. By tonight, mostly clear, lows in the mid-30s. Northwest wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And then for tomorrow, scattered showers and yes, even some thunderstorms possible with highs in the upper 50s. West wind at about 5 to 10 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast. Some afternoon rain showers possible Saturday. Otherwise, mostly cloudy with highs in the low 60s. Some more low 60s for Mother's Day with some rain showers. And then rain showers continue Monday with highs in the upper 50s.
Nothing is more comforting than a mother's love, and ABC7 and Fox 22 want you to share the love of mothers with a special promotion. Register to win prizes from some great local businesses. Our special Mother's Day promotion is brought to you by Stonington's Furniture in Brewer, Bangor Floral, and Healing Strength Massage in Bangor. All you have to do is go to our contest page, foxbangor.com, and register to win.
It's Costa's Restaurant and Bar.
It's Costa's Restaurant and Bar.
Costa's.
Costa's.
No matter how you say it, you're going to love it. We offer a huge selection of homemade Greek, American, and Italian dishes that you can enjoy in our front dining room. Or take a seat at the bar. With our Dine for $29 special, get an appetizer, 2 meals, and a dessert, all for just $29.99. And don't forget our event space has plenty of room to accommodate your party.
It's Costa's.
Costa's.
A delicious experience that doesn't cost a lot.
You know, I've been a pretty colorblind kind of buyer. I'm starting to get some loyalty with John Deere, and a lot of that's because of United and because of the idea that they have the service that I need and the parts on hand that I need. I'm all about value. I think that, you know, we finally got a dealer that wants to try to be competitive with value.
Brought to you by United Ag and Turf, your local John Deere dealer.
It takes a special person to be a nurse. Thank you. Miller's Workshop in Brewer honors all nurses with 20% off scrubs and Dansko footwear through May 12th.
This war you started needs to end.
You like having her around.
So what are you gonna do?
A historical collection is on display at the Library Company of Philadelphia before it's auctioned off at Sotheby's on June 24th. In a rare viewing, about 40 items are on display there in what experts call one of the best Benjamin Franklin collections. It includes an address panel with the founding father's signature, along with an uncashed government paycheck as well. The collection is expected to be sold for up to nearly $3 million when it goes on the block. Have a little piece of history of your own if you've got the money to pay for it. All right, that'll do it for this hour, folks. We thank you so much for joining us. We'll continue broadcasting for the next couple of hours on our Fox 22 channel. Later on, we'll meet our Pet of the Week. We always look forward to that. Thanks for being there, everyone. We hope you have a great day.
WVII, Fox 22. The place we call home, telling Maine stories wherever you roam. From sunrise shores to forests of pine, hard work, strong hearts, values that shine. From old towns to harbors, back roads to ocean blue. Neighbors helping neighbors in all that we do. on ABC 7, Fox 22.
All across America.
Good morning. Hello.
Wherever we are,
welcome home.
It feels like home.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Man, it's good to be home.
GMA, it's an invitation to come together.
George, how are you? Good morning.
And brighten your morning.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Good morning, America. Strong tornadoes rip through the South. Growing concern about the hantavirus outbreak. Dangerous bootleg.
FoxBangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, the search will resume today for a missing paddleboarder on Graham Lake in Ellsworth. We'll have the latest. Also, we'll hear about the decision to fire Lincoln's new town manager, and we'll celebrate the backbone of our healthcare system during National Nurses Week as well. Good morning, everyone. I'm Craig Colson. Janessa Bishop has the day off. We thank you for joining us on this Thursday morning. We'll have those stories and more coming up. But first, a check of that forecast, and it's looking like a pretty nice day ahead today. We'll see plenty of clouds for sure, but we'll see some sunny breaks as well. Maybe some stray rain showers, but overall, it's going to be pretty quiet today. Let's start things off by turning things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.